Buffalo Wild Wings is for when you're 20 and you kind of know about sports. Like,
look, I love sports ball. Michael Jackson's the greatest basketball player. I can't do that.
I can't be on this.
And I need a sip of your beer.
Yeah. Oh, look how big this glass is. Fuck. I'm sorry.
I mean, that's Yard House's entire shtick. And by the way, I am there for it.
I really hope this is just not going on the B-roll.
Thank you, Jason, for doing this.
Yeah, of course. I know you guys are here to have a rousing discussion, but I'm here to just make dick jokes and really derail this today.
Well, that's the whole reason why I figured that would
it's funny because anytime I come on like a smart show, I'm always the idiot. Anytime I go on an idiot show, I'm always the genius.
Well, you're about to be the genius, buddy.
Welcome to the show, Professor X. So
yeah, exactly.
I am truly a dumb fuck. I'm not gonna.
It's gonna be a lot of Wolverine punching Cyclops in the stomach. That's son of a bitch. That's gonna be running over all of us talking.
I'm glad Cyclops is the top. That's punishment.
Oh God.
Well, it's funny. It's actually part of it's in the, I think I said cultural relevance section. You can go see some of the memes.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them, I love the healing factor. Can't fix a broken heart one with Wolverine. Yeah. That's a real jab by Cyclops. But anyway,
my favorite one is when he's looking at the picture, but instead of it's a picture of him punching Cyclops. That is
it's in there.
My favorite one.
Yeah. I may appreciate the one that's the picture of Rogue. I thought that when someone shared that, I'm like, wow. Yeah. Okay, so this is just an Ouroboros of ideas here, just like eating its tail.
Well, it's funny that because people use that healing factor one or whatever, the sad Wolverine one.
Yeah.
For all kind of political things now these days. So it's interesting that it's having this like meme renaissance at the same time that the show's about to come back.
Yeah, we can just jumping right into it because it's the idea is that it's coming back at a time where it's just like, oh yeah, let's bring this back. It's like, what was the impetus for this? Like what finally made them go, you know what? Let's take a look at that X-Men cartoon from the 90s.
I think enough 40-year-olds with money were like, get this done.
I'm gonna assume 40-year-olds with money. That was my first guess.
Yeah.
It's the reason so many of the commercials now have late 90s, early 2000 soundtracks.
Yeah. We've come of age to be those annoying boomer types.
Yeah.
I want what I want when I want it.
Speak for yourselves. We decided before you came on, Kareem, that I'm 58.
Yeah.
Whoa, where did this? So you actually are a boomer? Is that what you're getting at? I was trying to.
He's like, oh wait, no.
I'm taking all your economies.
You son of a bitch! You just bought more property.
He didn't buy it.
This is my 14th house. Yeah, I know, right?
Oh
this
man,
is my 14th house.
He's that boomer.
I definitely took it from ethnic people.
Oh, the best part was by accident. You tripped and bought a new house.
I had a home appraised for less, and then I bought it for even less than that.
And built a Starbucks in my backyard.
Mm-hmm.
Every room you enter, you play Disturbed Stupefy, but it says gentrified.
Just going around the streets scaring kids.
I'm really I'm really glad that this is a video podcast so nobody thinks that I'm a white person.
Yes, that helps.
Oh, I'm just gonna Photoshop somebody else's face on yours.
You're just gonna
just deep fake it.
Yeah.
It's weird you picked Ralph Nader.
No, I got Bob Dole. They're like, wait, I thought Bob Dole passed away a week ago.
Tip one out, man. It's messed up. He's still got a boner for Britney.
Oh,
what?
She's emancipated now.
You've never seen those Pepsi commercials?
During the Super Bowl, they debuted a commercial for Pepsi.
This sounds like extra work for me right now.
Referenced. Let's keep that going. That referenced Bob Dole looking at Britney Spears getting a boner because he's on Viagra.
Oh my gosh, I did not like.
You didn't put those two together.
Those things that missed me completely. Apparently.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, to be honest with you, at the time, it kind of missed me too because I was like, "What's a boner pill?"
Do you know what commercial really messed me up? And like now I know what it is.
That one wasn't it?
I never knew what Zima was as a child.
The drink?
Yes. I thought it was just fancy water. I thought it was I honestly was like, well, why don't we have this water in our house? Oh yeah, we're poor. But also I was like, I've never seen this at a family party or like something.
Yeah, I've never actually seen Zima in person. I've seen it only in commercials.
So Zima is alcohol, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
It is the original Smirnoff.
It's the original
Smirnoff
Smirnoff / seltzer.
I'm very embarrassed.
Oh
It's a
wait,
malt liquor.
wait. So like Zima's like pissed right now because of all the White Claws.
Yeah.
Like they're just like,
yeah.
this is some
Oh, yeah.
bullshit. You guys
yeah.
called me out. All those like me and wine coolers are getting our lunches taken from us, and
This-
now you want to be
this
like,
If Zima could have held on for
Zima's-
15 years,
It's their 5th round of being pissed. They got pissed with Smirnoff Ice. They got pissed with Mike's Hard Lemonade. They get pissed about every 5 years when this runs about again.
wait. So is like White Claw the Asian fusion of Zima? Is that what we're saying now? Is like they were made fun of it in the past, and now people's like, oh, this is so good. And you're like, motherfucker, I had that as a kid in
Yes.
school, and
It's
you
the
took it away.
K-pop. It's the
Yeah,
K-pop.
it's the K-pop.
see,
Of Zimas,
problem,
yeah.
well, the problem for Zimas was that it was like not only just was it malt and seltzer, it was malt, seltzer, and melted sugar.
Go
Where's
on.
the problem.
Yeah.
That was the problem for Zima. Like people felt like they were filling up on Zimas versus like,
Yeah.
for the seltzer, they kind of calm themselves into thinking like, oh, this isn't that bad. I can drink 7 of these and not be an alcoholic.
It's the anti-bone broth. That's a callback before you got
Yeah.
here. Kareem.
Oh
That's-
god. The anti-brown buff. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's all recorded. I'll just splice it in if I can get the edit for it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
All right.
My whiskey's poured. I'm all ready. Let's do this.
All right.
Stretch it out, guys. Yeah. All right. Well, I figured we do at least the flashback. That kind of gives us some reference. I know it'll allow Ken to kind of go on about the artist. We can start talking about the Saban stuff as well, because I actually pulled up the Troubled History article from, I believe it is the Hollywood Reporter, if I'm not mistaken. And they kind of go into all the trouble, all the back and forth between the studios and stuff like that.
I mean, trouble history is a little bit. That's a bit clickbaity. It did.
Well, I mean, not in like, yeah, I think he is right. It is clickbaity, but it also does talk about the like how it shifted hands and how it ended up, basically.
Yeah.
Let him get his views, you guys. Jeez.
Well, wait. Are you gonna in the beginning before all this? Are you gonna start off with the previously on the X-Men?
Of course.
Thank you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's got to be.
Well, that's also the other thing about the cultural relevance that we kind of will gloss over, is that how it starts. It's iconic for that, and how other shows, started really. I mean, I guess people started recognizing that in other shows. Not to say that it was the first to do it, but you start to point that out, like, oh, that's
Definitely
interesting,
the
right?
first show for us older to middle millennials where we saw it, I would think, because I can't think of another show before that where there was a previously on and I
think Knight Rider might
aware
have done it, right?
which one?
Knight Rider was that a show that did that?
Not that I'm aware of, but I mean,
Okay.
maybe for the thing was though is that this was on pretty much every episode,
Yes,
as opposed
true.
to like occasionally it's like, oh, by the
Yeah.
way, did you remember Carr? He's the evil
Yeah.
version of Kit, and he's voiced by Optimus Prime, Peter Cullen. Like it was
Oh.
awesome, but it didn't happen enough for you to be like to key in. Whereas like X-Men was like hit you with it every time.
Every episode to give you a little backdrop.
Yeah.
All right. Let me see. Let me get to the very opening part of it. X-Men, also known as the X-Men, the animated series. I don't know. What did you guys call it when you were younger and you wanted to watch the show? Just the X-Men?
X-Men.
cartoon?
X-Men.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
X-Men.
Yeah.
Just
Okay.
X-Men.
I think I was aware it was X-Men the animated series for
Just like
some
Dark Knight,
reason.
the animated series, right?
Yeah, probably
Is that the
because
full title of it?
I think
because of
that's probably-
Batman. We thought
Yeah.
Batman
Batman.
the animated series versus
Batman. The Animated. That
X-Men
was
the
a Dark
animated
Knight.
series.
Wasn't
So-
it? Oh, okay. Yeah.
No.
Batman.
This is out around the same time. We're probably a couple seasons into Batman the animated series, and we're also in Spider-Man the animated series, right?
Are we
Shortly,
shortly? This
like-
debuted in '92. I thought Batman the animated series was a little later.
Is Batman? I guess it's like 92, 93.
Yeah,
I would even say 94, but I feel like I'm wrong on this one right now.
I think the
I don't know.
noir.
I'm gonna agree with you.
Well, we all have computers. Someone look it up while I'm
I
Batman.
know, yeah.
Batman the animated
Fine.
series, also premiering on Fox Kids, which is definitely noteworthy, is 92, same year.
Okay,
Ah.
there we go.
Wow.
wonder if
Fox
the-
Kids
What-
was rocking it.
What was in the
Yeah.
water at that
It
point?
was the programming block for Fox Kids. Fox was trying to gain a certain market share of having kids programming, and they were pushing very hard for that. And between a bunch of like getting it from ABC, they also had their own kids blocks, and Saturday mornings had kids blocks, and they all had their own I guess IPs is the way to go to call it now, but they all had their own shows that brought their viewership. And so Fox, as a fledgling network, was trying to get their foothold. And so part of it was putting on shows that they could, whatever they could get right away. So like, okay, here's Eat the Cat, here's Bobby's World. Like they could get certain shows, and they'd also pull from a back catalog, but new programming was part of that push.
Fox, and this is at this point, Fox is trying to be extremely edgy because they're trying to differentiate themselves from CBS, NBC, ABC. They're trying to show that, oh, we're the hip one. So then it does make more sense they'd go with the action-based comic cartoons as opposed to, I don't know what the hell was on ABC at that point. Just that Wheel of Cheese intro commercial.
Wheel of Cheese?
A hankering for a wheel of cheese.
Oh, that's Schoolhouse Rock, and then that's a commercial though. That's oh god, that's like infotainment kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, Schoolhouse
They're
Rock
trying
is
to-
where I think of
Trying to
that.
slide in that education through animation. Not in my America.
I
So
only
Dave-
want to see tight-bodied superheroes fight.
It debuted on October 31st, 1992. As Ken said, the United States and Fox Network. X-Men was obviously from Marvel Comics. It's the second attempt at an X-Men animated series. This part I didn't know until earlier today after looking this up.
Oh yeah.
That it was from the TV series pilot X-Men Pride of X-Men, using the spelling for like Kitty Pryde, which was not picked up.
Yeah.
But it's a revival of that series. And now they're going to have the revival of this series in 97. So I guess I've never seen the pilot, but it's actually been sold on DVD now these days. Whatever that Pride of
not
it.
legitimately, like at cons, you can get it at some sketchy booth that's selling it. But Pride of the X-Men.
Way to just rat everyone out, Ken.
Yeah.
That
Wow.
entire section just got raided.
Thanks
They're
a
all
lot,
going
you
to jail.
freaking narc.
They're right there. They're in there with the January 6 people.
I'm
now,
gonna
thanks to you,
I'm
Ken.
gonna mute Ken. I'm gonna mute Ken.
Thank you. God
Wow,
damn,
5
guy
minutes.
hates freedom.
That's pretty quick in. That was good.
Can I start with a question with you guys first? Just because I feel like, especially with the show, we get a lot of different like perspectives and feelings for this. Why do you? I mean, I think it's pretty obvious that all four of us really enjoyed the series. Is that safe to say?
Yeah.
Okay, so no contrarians. All right. Why do you think the show worked, even in the first place?
Ooh, well, I think it's a property, to be honest with you. Like the animation style wasn't anything to kind of like tilt your hat on. I think it was just the fact that, you grew up reading about the X-Men. Now you get to watch the X-Men. At least that was my impetus early on.
I would also say, Kareem, I 100% agree with you. The property goes a long way because we're talking about the height of X-Men popularity. We're talking X-Men #1 had just debuted, quote unquote, 8 million copies sold, et cetera, et cetera. But I also think the serialized nature had a lot to do with it. If you missed an episode, you missed something that would come back and be referenced later. So it was almost important, like you had to watch it. So I think that helped really hook you in. That previously on X-Men was really important. I remember like looking forward to that, like, wait, what happened? Okay.
Yeah, couldn't agree with you more. Definitely. And that's kind of goes to the question we'll ask later about the revival and how they decide to kind of roll it out. It's Disney, so we're assuming it's going to be serialized, but would it have worked on something like a Netflix? But we'll get to that.
I would also say using the Jim Lee designs as the basis for the cartoon helps a ton because it's kind of the like perfect storm of cool 90s. Like that design, everybody's muscular, everybody's got like kind of the skin suit, and it's definitely the coolest Cyclops ever looked up to that point.
Yes, that's fair.
Up to that point, I'll definitely give you that.
Yeah.
Ken?
I was gonna say it's worth noting too that in '92 we also got the X-Men video arcade game, which if you're of a certain age, arcades were definitely part of your life, whether it was a Chuck E. Cheese, a Bullwinkle's, or, just the arcade inside a Pizza Hut or at your local video store, wherever you might be. Arcades played a certain role in a certain age range. And so that X-Men game, which ended up using some of the footage from the original Pride of the X-Men cartoon. Like a lot of the animated footage there is from that cartoon that didn't go anywhere. So that's kind of a cool, we were fed little bits and X-Men, because of the comics, because of the arcade, we were ready for just more X-Men and more superheroes. Cause we hit that age at the right time. And we wanted our trading cards and we wanted our comics, and it was given to us on the hot new network of Fox Kids, who set it up so they had a newsletter. You could sign up for a newsletter and get mailed a little booklet. And it was Fox was no, we're going to program you early on and get you.
I'm going to ask you this quick question. Then I'm going to jump back to a tangent that I like. But did you ever actually watch that Pride of X-Men or whatever? Have you seen it personally?
Not all the way
through.
through.
Know what it's about. Okay.
I've seen clips of it, and I've never. Yeah, I've tried to find a good, solid quality rip of it, but they're still pretty hard to find. They're all pretty choppy. It's like watching the Gen 13 cartoon that was voiced by Mark Hamill, and it's like they're just
that. From the clips that you saw, was Kitty Pryde or at least was Jubilee the substitute that they were you know what, we're gonna sub her out and sub this one back in? Is that why you don't think the other one took off?
I don't think it's why it didn't take off. I think that the producers behind it and the executives just didn't see it as a viable option. As far as the switch out for Jubilee, I mean, Wolverine has a long history of having young female partners, which is odd, but it still keeps working for him. I mean, I'm not as right.
Jean Grey.
I'm not.
Yeah, we're going there.
I'm not casting aspersions. He's a nice Canadian boy, from what I hear.
Not from what I hear.
I will say, every one of those relationships
is what I've heard.
Never feels sexual with Wolverine.
What's up?
Every one of his relationships with the young teenage girl, it never feels sexual, at least by the comic book. It's never oh yeah, now he and Jubilee, Mm-hmm.
No, it's because he's too busy mourning over women he can't have, dead wives, thruples, all that kind of stuff.
I mean, does
Wolverine even fuck? I don't think I would say he doesn't.
He has 2 kids.
Yeah, but then they just didn't they just take his DNA and clone him?
Exactly.
No. One is a blonde Viking woman, and one is Ken, who's his they're both genetic children. They're through traditional intercourse.
Traditional intercourse.
Wow.
It's not cloning.
Tell me you've never fucked without telling me you've never fucked, Ken.
Dude,
I don't know if
through the penis and
so,
vagina.
Yeah, I mean, in a world where there's cloning and magical twins, maybe I magical children like Speed and Wiccan, I should clarify traditional intercourse, I think.
Okay.
Did you say sex?
That's fair.
I could say sex, but then you're oh, well, what is sex? Is it penetration? There's a whole nother conversation about that. And so let's just go with what I said and move on happily.
All right. I was going to ask you to define traditional intercourse.
Can we have the subtitle of this one be traditional intercourse?
Yes.
Well, you could also just drop in the clip from Chasing Amy of oh, so you're a virgin. Okay. Yeah. And then you that's why I like to, I said it the way I said it. Okay.
Fair enough. We'll move on, Ken. Traditional intercourse. Okay. And so before we jump further in our discussion, we'll I don't know if any of you guys remember how the show actually ends. I don't. As often as I watched it, I had to find out there was a season 5. I thought there were only really 3 seasons, but apparently there's 5.
Yeah. So
I was deferring to Ken or you or Jason on how it ended.
Okay, so my gut is telling me it was the Shi'ar stuff, but then that sounds wrong.
No, I think the Shi'ar, isn't it the Phalanx? That's near the end.
Oh, it's in the doc, by the way, if you guys need a reference. I just pulled it up. I was just letting the audience know full well that I don't recall the ending.
But you did the research.
Yeah. This is a combination. Given the ages of the people on this podcast right now, we would have started getting into other shit by the time the show was from 92 to 97. That is a big jump in terms of priorities for a budding teenager to a full-grown teenager.
Yeah, by 1997, I was having traditional intercourse.
He didn't say with what though.
Fair point.
It's traditional, Kareem. It explains itself. Come on, you guys.
You can have traditional intercourse with a pie. I've seen the movie.
Every time you say traditional intercourse, I just feel like it's the holiday season.
Like an angel gets its wings. Like
This is kind of talk that you get in a Lifetime movie. Hallmark.
An angel gets its wings fucked onto it.
Yeah.
God.
But yes, it actually is the Phalanx Covenant. I guess it is. It's like a 2-part season opener. And then you have the episodes, I guess, is Jubilee's Fairy Tale Theater, which is based on, I guess, Kitty Pryde's fairy tale from the Uncanny X-Men 153. So, and that's another thing that they mentioned is that a lot of the stories were quote unquote original, but inspired heavily from the comics themselves. So you would see themes and obviously characters and stuff like that from the series, but none of it was actually like, oh, that's an actual like one-for-one storyline. Aside from, I guess, the what is it one where Bishop comes in and starts like bitching about Gambit?
Days of Future Past.
Yeah.
Which
I
is
think-
not. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I understand that they are saying, well, we manipulated it. Some of those are pretty 1-to-1. Just you sub Kitty Pryde out for Jubilee. That's not like, yeah, you just picked a different teenage girl, guys. Come on.
Fair enough.
I just think it's important, right, that they did sub her, right? I mean, admittedly, we replaced.
White people?
Well, no, but she's Jewish, so off-white and more of an eggshell than anything else. That I'm
Mother of pearl.
I have
Tangentially
to.
white.
I am legally obligated to say that is my wife's joke, who is also Jewish.
Wait, what? Legally, you're required to say what?
What?
I'm legally obligated to say that was my wife's joke.
I'm sorry, what?
My wife. Yeah, sorry, because
Yeah,
you were all over me about this before the recording.
it's a house rule. As a gamer, you should understand
I
it's
hate
house
this
rule.
so much.
The best part is that he covered his legal basis with his wife. Now we're going to get sued for everything else.
Yeah, so I mean, we did replace a young Jewish girl with a young Asian adoptee, but so my answer for what I asked a little while ago is, like, I would dare you guys to think of other shows that gave us that much diversity on a weekly basis.
And I
really
would say
good.
none. I can't think. I mean, aside from like, because I think what was the Sports All Stars one that had Michael Jordan in and stuff like that?
That
came out something like that. That was
it was like Wayne Gretzky,
7 or 8 years earlier.
It was Wayne Gretzky, Michael Jordan, and Bo Jackson. Because Bo did football and baseball.
Yeah.
Bo knows cartoons, okay?
No, I think that's the truth.
Bo didn't
know how to recover from a hip injury, but
exactly.
Oof. Super oof.
Yeah, come at
not
us,
his fault. He was
Literally.
just, it happened too early. Now you can recover from it.
Yeah, but I think as I'm saying, I can't think of that's the other thing, because we were going to talk about competition. I guess Captain Planet.
Ooh.
I wonder what year Captain. Well, now I'm curious. So
we gotta look it up now. I
want to say that it's within like 2 years of X-Men, though, isn't it? That part I didn't look up.
Ooh,
But,
Captain Planet debuted before
there
September 15th, 1990.
1990. Yeah.
nice. And I mean, and Ted Turner at the time is very, very a liberal, kind of pushing the idea of like we need to be responsible for our planet, and that's
Look where that got us.
That's because the message was, hey guys, you got to do your part. We're not going to do ours, but you do your part.
Yeah.
And it should all be good, right?
As Pat and I've constantly joked over the years that Captain Planet was the ultimate politician. He wasn't actually a superhero. He was like, oh guys, I can help you get where you need to go, but as soon as someone actually needs me to do something, I get touched by any type of pollution. Oh, I'm out of here, gotta go.
I'm dirty. Oh, so weak. Like, that's literally what you're here for, man.
Exactly. If you can withstand it, how are we going to withstand it?
Now that we bring up Captain Planet, I would argue that Captain Planet deserves a reboot before X-Men.
Before X-Men?
Before X-Men. I know.
I mean,
I'm here to start fights.
I don't know if I can disagree, because there's so much X-Men. There's been 7 X-Men cartoons since the animated series came out.
I was gonna say that's part of the discussion too, is that this isn't necessarily a reboot. This is a
The
continuation.
continuation. Yeah.
Okay, that's fair.
So, but I do agree that that's a show that could use a reboot for sure.
Let's be honest, guys. Nobody wants to talk about climate change anymore. It had its day back in the 90s. Shut up, and move on.
Oh man,
Jesus Christ,
Dark.
you liberals.
Dark.
You lefties
Yeah.
and
Why
your
does it look like Blade
cartoons.
Runner
Yeah.
out there?
Well,
That's
Kareem
weird.
owned the libtards apparently.
Damn
Jeez,
right.
dude. Come on,
Moving on.
man.
God, why is everybody so woke on this podcast?
Oh,
It's so upsetting.
God.
I'm sorry, I didn't say that with enough venom. So woke on this podcast. There, it's
Tired
Now
of
it
Oprah
feels
telling me
more
what
right.
to do.
I do a podcast with I won't say which one because I don't want to out the guys who do this to me. But every time I come
who
on,
do this to you? What?
yeah,
Show us on the doll where they touched you, Jason.
Yes, traditional
it was
intercourse with these
traditional
gentlemen.
intercourse. Traditional intercourse.
Not consensual.
Okay,
Traditional.
anytime they start asking me about my opinions and stuff, I'm like super like piece of shit liberal about stuff. And then to reel me back in, they always ask me about guns. And like and I'm like, oh,
You should stop going on Fox.
I know what you're doing, but I'm still gonna answer your questions. And I get so mad at myself every time.
So you want me to recycle my bullets?